As you said, I'm going to talk about Syalinnov, which is actually an approach that we built alongside 9 alternative food system initiatives in France, but also in Spain, between 2015 and 2018. That was a comment from the Fondation Daniel and Nina Carasso. The idea of whom was to co-create an approach that will be both reliable and operational also for the intended users, and comprehensive and systemic and useful as well. So that was a big challenge. We tried to respond to with my colleague Adel Ouraba. And in January 2018, we deliver this methodological guide you can find on internet, and which is a ready-to-use methodology. So today, Syalinnov is a 7-step approach. We talk about approach rather than methodology because obviously it implies it integrates set of indicators you can populate, and it generates an impact radar. But it offers also different tools and steps that should enable the coordination team of food system project to elaborate their theory of change. So I'm going to enter more in detail of each step. So first, the first steps consist in getting familiar with the Syalinnov evaluation grid. So what we propose is actually to grasp sustainability in terms of proximity, because all the actors were mobilizing. It was a mobilizing concept for all the actors because they were always talking about proximity among people, thanks to the food, thanks to the meal, proximity between the eaters and their plates, proximity between among urban areas and rural areas, etc. But we avoid to fall into the local trap because proximity, according to us, is not only a geographical concept, but also a social one, economical, political, and cognitive. So basically, Syalinnov is based on this 5 dimension of the proximity. Obviously, that would be too reductive to affirm that more proximity equals more sustainability. So in addition to these 5 first evaluation criteria, we add 9 others that enlarge the scope of the sustainability we can assess with Syalinnov, but still in coherency, in consistency with the 5 dimension. So after getting some information about the features of the project and its territorial influence, the third step consists in building an impact pathway. So as you can see on the picture, we do it during a workshop with stakeholders and the coordination team. And we obtain this kind of representation. So as you can see on the slide, the pink circle represents the ultimate change we want to reach. Then the green one are the intermediary changes, which could be assimilated to the outcome of the project. The blue circle are the different steps we have to pass through to reach the ultimate change. And the light blue-green leaves are the activities. So that's a very interesting tool because it gives a very reflexive feedback to the coordination team. And yeah, that's very useful. The fourth step is quite simple because actually we just take the impact pathway and we count the number of steps and intermediary changes that can be related to each of the 5 dimensions. Just count, and we obtain this kind of a radar that we call in Syalinnov the potential impact radar, which is also a good tool to make a feedback to the team to see if this radar correspond to the impact they were expecting to reach or they are planning to reach. The fifth step consists in mapping the stakeholders with, for example, this kind of matrix, very simple, with on the one hand, the relationships quality, good or bad, and on the other hand, the influence of these stakeholders on the impact of the project. So is it weak, middle, or strong? That's also an interesting tool because, yeah, we developed recently a little bit more complex matrix. And this is an interesting tool because from this partnership matrix, we can see in the impact pathway if some paths can be, for example, negatively impacted, or also in linkages linked with the potential impact radar. If the coordination team are expecting to have a more systemic impact, we can think about a new partnership and so on. So all of these 5 steps can be led in the very early stages of the project from the conception, and can be repeated every year to have a kind of monitoring of the project. So after a while, at the end of the project, you can populate the indicators. So basically, Syalinnov, we assess outcomes and impacts on 4 different objects: on citizens, consumers, on elected representatives, on economical players, including the farmers and their fields, and finally on food landscape, which is actually for us the food access, the physical access and economical access to food, to sustainable food. And concretely, we collect the information through one questionnaire dedicated to the citizens and consumers, one questionnaire dedicated to the economical players, some field survey and collection of secondary data, and finally, focus group with the coordination team of the project and elected representatives. So basically, the Syalinnov metric, we have these 5 dimensions of the proximity, 14 criteria, and each of these criteria is signified by one indicator. So we have 14 indicators. And for each of these indicators, we have one form that explains how to collect the information, or to populate the indicator, and also how to convert it into a score from 0, which would be a negative or no impact, to 3, which would be an important impact in comparison with a meaningful reference. So that means that you can generate this kind of radar vector, which is quite nice, very visual and interesting to facilitate debates and exchanges about the evaluation assessment, the impact assessment, sorry. But it can lead also to misunderstanding or misinterpretation. So in Syalinnov, we really advise to always associate this kind of radar with a synthetic chart of the different outcomes and the main impact of the project. So this is it for the 7 steps. Just some news maybe about what's next. So since 2019, we started a new collaboration with the French Agency for Environment and Energy, as well as the Agriculture Department of Occitanie region, with 3 main objectives, which are the first, to test Syalinnov on new territories, to create a specific set of indicators about environmental impact, and last but not least, to scale up Syalinnov from very local initiative to a more territorial and global territorial policy, food policy. And as a conclusion, so just I would like to underline, to insist on the fact that Syalinnov, it's not a simple scoring methodology, but more a global approach to elaborate an impact story. We are currently working on a new website, so you can find the website under construction at syalinnov.org. that will gather all the tools and explanation, tutorials, as well as a collaborative space. We are considering now a new set of indicators, this time regarding health and social justice aspects. And just to tell you that we are working in Occitanie, but not only, we are implementing Syalinnov in other territories in France. And maybe why not after this seminar, we would love to test the Syalinnov approach in other European countries. So maybe to answer to Alison, we think that Syalinnov might be a flexible approach, and obviously it's partly place-based, but we think that in all countries of Western Europe where we have an industrialized food system, globalized food system with a very small numbers of farmers, etc. Syalinnov can be relevant. But let's try. Thanks.